Hello. If you found your way here, maybe you've also known what it feels like to be slightly out of sync with the world around you. Not in a dramatic way, just a quiet difference in pace. Like everything is moving, and somehow you're still standing for a moment longer than expected. There are moments in life when everything shifts so quickly you barely have time to understand what's really happening. A plan you just made has to be adjusted. A connection that just began already starts to drift. Things that once felt stable suddenly don't feel as certain anymore. And in times like that, there's a quiet pressure, subtle but real. The pressure to respond, to decide quickly, to keep up. As if you slow down even a little, you might miss something that matters. People around you tend to move fast during those moments. They try things, change directions, pivot again and again. And sometimes, watching all of that, you start to wonder if you should be doing the same. But then, there are those who don't. Not because they don't see what's changing. Not because they don't understand how serious things are. They just don't rush. They pause, just for a moment, but enough to create a noticeable difference. While others are speaking faster, deciding faster, they choose to listen a little longer. While everything is being pushed forward, they hold on to a slower rhythm inside. From the outside, that can be hard to understand. I remember sitting in a conversation like that once. Everyone had something to say. Everyone wanted to reach a decision as quickly as possible. There was a slight tension in the air, like everyone felt something needed to be done right away. And right in the middle of it, there was someone who barely spoke. No resistance, no immediate agreement, just sitting there, observing, nodding lightly now and then, as if checking something deep within themselves before saying a word. And then, a familiar comment surfaced, not loud, but clear enough. Stubborn. I remember hearing that, and not reacting right away, just letting it sit there for a moment. Because somehow, it didn't feel entirely right. Maybe from the outside, that kind of silence looks like refusal, like a lack of cooperation, like resistance to change. But if you look a little closer, it might be something else entirely. It's like holding a glass filled to the very top and having to walk across uneven ground. Others might move faster because their glass isn't full or because they're willing to spill a little along the way. But if your glass is full, you naturally slow down. Not because you don't want to get to the other side, but because you know one rushed step could cause everything to spill, and you'd spend far more time trying to clean up what was lost. Some people carry that awareness with them when they move through major life changes. They can feel when something inside is full, when things need to be held steady instead of pushed further. And in those moments, slowing down isn't a calculated decision. It's almost instinctive, a way of protecting what matters from breaking apart while everything around them is shifting. But here's the difficult part. What's happening inside them isn't easy to see. Others only notice the slowing down, only notice the silence, only notice someone not responding the way they expect. And from there, a label appears almost instantly. Stubborn. Maybe it's not that people are trying to misunderstand. Maybe it's just that we're used to judging what's most visible, and the things happening beneath the surface, the quiet processes, the ones without sound or clear expression, are often the easiest to overlook. And perhaps, right there, silence begins to take on a different meaning. Not emptiness, but a space where something is being held very carefully. It's like stepping into an old house after a long stretch of rain. The air outside still damp, still cold, and yet somewhere inside there's a small, dry corner, sheltered just enough to hold on to a bit of warmth. Not everyone notices that corner, and not everyone understands why someone would spend so much time just to protect something that, at first glance, seems so small. Maybe that's why. From the outside, a Taurus can sometimes look like a wall, not reacting much, not changing quickly, not easily pulled by arguments that seem perfectly reasonable. That kind of stillness, stretched over time, can feel like resistance, sometimes even like being shut out. But if you step a little closer, the feeling begins to shift. It's not a wall meant to block anyone. It's more like a foundation being held steady, so that everything built on top of it doesn't start to tremble. Some people, when things around them begin to shake, they move, searching for something more stable. And then there are others who become that point of stability. Not because they don't feel fear, but because somewhere inside, they sense that if everything moves at once, there may be nothing left to hold things together. I've seen this in a very ordinary moment once. A friend of mine, during a time when work kept shifting, almost everyone around them was trying to jump towards something new as quickly as possible. Opportunities appeared and disappeared within weeks. And in the middle of all that movement, they stayed. Not because they didn't have options. In fact, there were quite a few, but they didn't rush. They took time to look at things one by one. What they already had, could it still hold? What was coming next? Did it truly fit? And during that time, from the outside, it looked like they were doing nothing at all. Someone even said it directly. If you stay like that, you're going to fall behind. It made sense if you were following the same rhythm. But something often goes unnoticed. While some people move quickly from one direction to another, there are also those who end up having to start over when things don't unfold the way they expected. And in those moments, that early rush can quietly turn into a cycle of exhaustion. But with my friend, when they finally began to move, it didn't feel like a sudden leap. It felt like a step placed down, after standing long enough to truly feel the ground beneath it. It didn't need to be fast, it just needed to be steady. And maybe that's the part people don't see when they call someone stubborn. They see the lack of visible change, but not the process of balance happening underneath. It's like a large tree in strong wind. You might not see it move much, but that doesn't mean it isn't responding. Its roots are reaching deeper. Its trunk is adjusting, little by little, so it doesn't break. Everything is happening, just not in a way that's easy to notice. And maybe, for some people, standing still while everything else is shifting is the only way to not lose themselves, not to resist change, but so that when change truly arrives, they still have something solid to stand on. And maybe, from that very place, a different rhythm begins to form. Not the rhythm of the outside world, where everything is constantly moving, where decisions are made quickly, and change happens almost every day, but a rhythm of its own, a little slower, a little deeper, and much harder to hear. What's strange is, from the outside, that kind of stillness can make it seem like nothing is happening at all, as if everything has paused, as if that person is falling behind, or missing the moment entirely. But if you've ever lived through a time like that, you might know that kind of quiet isn't empty. It's more like a closed room, where the light is soft, where everything is set down carefully. No noise, no rush, just very small movements, almost invisible. A thought being placed back where it belongs. A feeling becoming a little clearer. Something that once felt certain, suddenly seen from a different angle. All of it is happening, just not in a way others can immediately recognize. There are people who aren't used to that kind of movement. They need to see change, a decision, an action, a visible step forward. And when none of that appears, it's easy to assume nothing is progressing at all. But maybe not every kind of change needs to be seen right away. It's like cooking something on low heat. If you keep lifting the lid to check, the warmth escapes, and everything takes longer to come together. Some processes just need to be held in a space that's quiet enough, steady enough, for them to unfold on their own. And Taurus seems to understand that kind of low flame. There's no need to rush, no need to prove that something is moving forward. Just the quiet sense that something inside is shifting, even if it's slow, even if no one else can see it yet. Maybe that's why sometimes they appear as if they're doing nothing, not because they lack drive, but because they don't feel the need to turn every internal movement into immediate action. They allow themselves the space to understand more deeply before stepping out and changing something on the outside. And that isn't always easy for others to understand, because from the outside, all anyone really sees is the silence. A person who doesn't react quickly. A person who doesn't shift right away when circumstances change. A person who seems untouched by the pressure around them. But maybe that's just the surface, like the surface of a lake on a calm day, smooth, still, almost unmoving. And yet beneath it, the water is in motion, currents quietly finding their way, everything still changing in its own time. Some changes don't make a sound. Some movements don't need to be seen. And some people choose to hold all of that within long enough so that when it finally becomes clear, it's no longer a rushed reaction, but a step that can carry them much further. And maybe what confuses others isn't the silence itself. It's that they can't hear the rhythm inside that's already unfolding, right there. And maybe, from that place, something else begins to show itself. Those quiet moments when Taurus says no. Not a sharp no. Not resistance in the obvious sense, but a very slight pause. Like when you're about to take a step and suddenly realize the ground ahead isn't quite steady yet. From the outside, it can look familiar. An offer is made. An opportunity appears. A new direction sounds reasonable, even promising. And yet, instead of saying yes right away, they slow down. They don't rush to agree. They don't get carried away by the shared excitement. They simply hold a little space, just enough to feel a bit more. And sometimes, that's where the confusion begins. Because in a world that encourages speed, to act quickly, to seize the moment, to move while the door is open, slowing down can look like hesitation, and a quiet no like that can easily be mistaken for a refusal to change. But if you look a little closer, it may not be refusal at all. It's more like placing your hand against a wall before stepping down a staircase in the dark. Not because you're afraid to move forward, just because you want to be sure the next step won't send you off balance. I once saw something like this in a very ordinary situation. Someone I knew was offered a new job, better position, new environment. Everything about it sounded appealing. People around them were almost certain they would say yes immediately, but they didn't. They stayed quiet for a few days. No quick answer. And then, eventually, they said no. Not because the opportunity wasn't good, not because they didn't want to move forward. It was just that, at that moment, something inside them wasn't fully settled yet. There were things unresolved, parts of their life still needing to be held together, to be understood, before stepping into something new. From the outside, it looked like a confusing decision. Some people even felt sorry for them. Others thought they had just let a rare opportunity slip away. But maybe not everyone could see what they were trying to protect. It's like a builder standing in front of an unfinished structure. Others might look at the frame and think it's time to build the next level. But the builder can feel the subtle cracks in the foundation. Not obvious, not easy to see, but enough to make them stop. Not to give up, but to avoid building further on something that isn't fully stable yet. Maybe if they continued, the structure would still stand for a while. But deep down, they know a small rush now could lead to something far more difficult later. And maybe Taurus carries that same awareness when they say no. It's not that they don't want something new, not that they aren't open to change. It's just that they're not willing to trade inner stability for outer movement too soon. That no sometimes protects a deeper yes that's still taking shape. A yes not ready to be spoken yet, but quietly growing, slowly, carefully. And seen this way, that refusal isn't really closing a door. It's more like leaving it slightly open until they're ready to walk through without needing to turn back. The difficult part is, not everyone can see that process. Most people only see the outcome, a refusal, a delay, a choice that doesn't follow the direction everyone else is moving in. And from there, it becomes easy to give it a simpler name. Stubborn. But maybe, if you stayed in that space just a little longer, if you allowed yourself to slow down enough to feel it, that no might begin to mean something else. Not resistance to change, but a quiet way of not losing yourself while everything else is changing too fast. And maybe, when you step back and look at it a little wider, this isn't just something that happens in a few isolated moments. It begins to feel like a way of moving through entire seasons of change. There are times when life outside starts to feel like a strong current, pulling along even those who once felt steady. Choices keep appearing. Opportunities take turns calling your name. And somewhere in all of that, there's this quiet sense that if you don't reach for something right away, it might slip past you. In that kind of atmosphere, pausing can feel uncomfortable. Not everyone feels at ease standing still while everyone else is moving. And not everyone has the patience to accept a slower rhythm, when everything around them is urging them to go faster. But Taurus seems familiar with that feeling. Not because they don't feel the pressure, not because they don't see how fast things are moving. It's just that they don't let the outside rhythm fully decide how they move. They hold on to a space of their own, like a quiet corner in a room, where the light is softer, where things aren't pushed forward too quickly. It might feel like a late-night kitchen. Everyone else has gone to sleep. There's only a warm, dim light, the faint sound of water simmering, and a pot slowly cooking on the stove. Nothing urgent, no one standing nearby telling it to hurry. And yet, in that quiet time, the flavor deepens, becomes richer, more complete, as if everything needs its own pace to become what it's meant to be. And maybe Taurus carries that same feeling when they hold their rhythm through major changes. They don't rush to shift direction just because others are doing it. Not because they don't want something new, but because they need to feel deep down that they're truly ready to step into something different. There's a quiet kind of consideration there, not always spoken out loud, but enough to tell them when to move forward and when to stay a little longer. From the outside, this can easily be misunderstood. In a world where speed often gets mistaken for progress, moving slower can look like resistance, like holding on to the past, like not wanting to step out of what's familiar. But maybe that's not really what's happening. Maybe it's just another way of moving through change, a way that doesn't need noise, doesn't need to prove anything, but is steady enough to not be carried too far from what they're trying to preserve. I've seen this in the smallest moments, someone who doesn't rush to reply to an important message. Someone who doesn't agree right away to a plan that sounds reasonable. Someone who doesn't change direction just because everyone else is. At a glance, it can look like hesitation, but if you stay long enough to watch, something else begins to appear. They're not standing still. They're holding a rhythm slow enough to still feel where they are, steady enough to not get lost in too many choices, warm enough that when the outside world feels rushed and cold, they still have somewhere inside to return to. And right there, that quiet way of holding rhythm is often mistaken for resisting change. Not because people mean to misunderstand, but maybe because not everyone is used to the idea of change that doesn't rush. Not everyone believes that a slower step can sometimes hold on to more than a faster one. And maybe, for Taurus, not being pulled too quickly is the only way they don't lose their direction. Not to go against the world, but simply so that when they do move forward, they know where they're going. And maybe that's why some moments of stillness aren't meant for stopping at all, but for something inside to quietly grow. Not loud, not fully clear at the beginning, but slowly taking shape, like planting a seed in the soil. In those early days, you don't really see anything. The ground looks the same, flat, still. No sign that something beneath it has already begun to live. And if you only look at the surface, it's easy to think nothing is happening at all. But if you stay patient, just a little longer, you begin to realize some processes aren't meant for hurried eyes. Some changes need to remain in the dark long enough before they can appear clearly. Maybe for Taurus, those slower periods carry that kind of feeling. Not being lost, not lacking direction, but more like a kind of incubation, where everything is left still long enough to find its way back into order. I remember going through a time when everything around me was shifting. Work, daily rhythm, even the familiar connections I thought would stay the same, all began to move in ways that felt unsteady. And in the middle of that, the hardest part wasn't making a decision. It was not rushing into one. There was this quiet pull, persistent but gentle, like you know you should do something, change something, move forward somehow. And at the same time, somewhere deep inside, there's another feeling that maybe it isn't time yet. That space between those two feelings can be uncomfortable. And in that space, many people choose to act quickly, just to escape the uncertainty. But then there are those who stay there a little longer, not because they enjoy not knowing, but because they trust that if they remain just long enough, what needs to become clear will, on its own. Maybe Taurus is one of those kinds of people. They don't rush to turn inner change into outer action. They allow themselves to hold questions that don't have answers yet, to feel something, even if they can't fully name it. And during that time, they might be letting go of what no longer fits, rearranging what remains, or seeing things from an angle they hadn't considered before. All of this makes no sound, no obvious signs, nothing to show others that they're moving forward. And maybe that's why this phase is so easily misunderstood. From the outside, it can look like nothing is happening, no visible progress, no clear decisions, no obvious change. And when that lasts long enough, it's easy to assume someone is stuck. But maybe they're not. It's like a pot of water heating on low flame. For a while, you won't see anything. No bubbles, no movement. But if you bring your hand closer, you can feel the warmth rising. Slow, but real. And then, at some point, things begin to move. Not suddenly, not loudly, but enough to know the process never stopped. Maybe that quiet incubation inside Taurus feels something like that. Not standing still, but becoming something new in a way that doesn't need to rush. And maybe that's why when the moment of movement finally arrives, it doesn't feel sudden the way people might expect. Not a sharp turn. Not a decision made in a few minutes, but more like a door that's been open for a long time inside. Only now it's pushed just enough to let the light come through. Some movements don't begin on the outside. They begin deep within. From days that seemed like nothing was happening. From quiet spaces no one noticed. From questions that were asked and gently set aside without needing an answer right away. And then, when all of that has had enough time, enough depth, a step appears. Soft, but real. I once saw someone change like that. No announcement, no clear sign. They were still there, still doing familiar things, still moving through the same daily rhythm. Until one day, they simply stepped in a different direction. No long explanation. No need to prove that it was the right choice. Just a quiet sense that they knew what they were doing. And the strange part is, when you look back, that change was never really new. It felt more like a current that had been there all along, just beneath the surface. And at some point, it became strong enough to rise into view. Maybe that's how Taurus moves. Not through sudden turns, not through rushed decisions, but through steps that have been held for a very long time. Until when they finally happen, they carry a feeling that's hard to undo. Not because going back is impossible, but because there's no longer a reason to. Before they step forward, they've already stayed long enough to understand what no longer fits. They've looked back, weighed things quietly, felt their way through it, piece by piece, until staying no longer brings the stability they once tried to protect. And when that moment comes, the step isn't impulsive. It feels more like a natural continuation of everything that's been unfolding inside. From the outside, people might only see a single moment of change. But if you look a little deeper, it's the result of many moments where nothing seemed to change at all. Like building a path with stone, one piece at a time, laid down slowly, carefully. During that process, no one really notices. But when the path is complete, all they see is a clear way forward, not the quiet steps that created it. And maybe That's why the way Taurus moves feels different. Not loud, not immediate, but deep. A depth that allows each step, even if it's slow, to carry more than just a decision. It carries understanding. It carries what's been held onto, what's been released, what's been rearranged over time, in ways no one else could see. And once they move, the world around them may still be rushing, just as before. But inside, something feels different, no longer hurried, just quietly steady, as if they've found a piece of ground that truly holds, not fast, but deep. And maybe, because of that depth, things become a little harder to name. People tend to recognize clear changes, a firm step forward, a decision spoken out loud. But with movements this quiet, sometimes it's only much later, looking back, that you realize something had already begun to shift a long time ago. Maybe what many people call stubbornness is just a simpler way of naming something more complex, a kind of persistence that doesn't need to be seen. A way of holding yourself steady, not pushing against anyone, but not easily pulled away either. Not always easy to understand. But maybe, not everything needs to be understood right away. There are kinds of strength that don't come from moving faster than others, but from not drifting away from who you are, even while everything around you keeps changing direction. A quiet steadiness, like a house that makes no sound when strong winds pass through, and yet still stands there, holding its light inside. And sometimes, only after enough time has passed, people begin to see that what once looked like slowing down may have been the very thing that kept them from having to start over again. What once looked like hesitation may have protected what might have been lost if everything had been rushed. Maybe for Taurus, not changing in the way the world expects isn't a refusal, but a way, a very personal way, of moving through life's most uncertain seasons without dropping the parts of themselves that matter most. And if you think back for a moment, maybe you've had a moment like that too. A time you slowed down while everyone else was speeding up. A time you didn't say yes right away, even when everything sounded reasonable. A time you stayed quiet, just to hear something inside a little more clearly. Those moments aren't always easy to explain, but maybe they still carry meaning in a way only you can truly feel. And if something in this story happened to touch a quiet place within you, you can stay here a little while longer, like holding on to one of those rare pauses in a fast-moving world. And if someday you feel like returning, maybe this space will still be here, with stories like this, soft, unhurried, just enough to be listened to. And who knows, maybe something in your own path is already unfolding, quietly, in a way that doesn't need to rush.